October 27th is the anniversary of an incident that was once very famous throughout the Western world, but would be met with ridicule today if indeed it was remembered at all. It's this moment, it's in 312 AD, when Constantine, who is fighting for control of the Roman Empire, sees a cross in the sky and the words Entuta in Greek, which, since that's too hard to pronounce or understand these days, is rendered as in hoc signo vinces, which also, in the modern world, is very hard to understand or pronounce. It means in this sign, through this sign, you will conquer. And he did indeed win the pivotal battle of Milvian Bridge, and as emperor, he was overtly Christian, and what's more, he converted the empire to Christianity. Nowadays, that story, if it's remembered at all, is taken as proof that people were superstitious buffoons in the past, so unlike we modern sophisticates, as though the Roman Empire had been a backwater of agricultural hicks and not the most cosmopolitan society the world had ever seen. You know, if you're lucky, people will try to find some solar event that might have deluded Constantine into thinking he'd seen a cross in the sky, or some sort of manifestation from a solar god, and later somehow deluded himself that it had been Jesus talking to him. More likely, you're going to get an argument that he was never actually Christian at all because the coinage still had images of the sun god on it. It's not that people regard this tale as having been disproved, but as being absolutely idiotic gibberish, the kind of thing that could never happen. And it's an interesting approach to history. In this sense, materialism is every much a dogma as Christianity once was, at least in the minds of the less thoughtful. We simply rule out the possibility of superstitious events, as we would call them, even though through most of human history, people have been convinced they happened. It doesn't mean they're all real, of course. It doesn't mean Constantine or his biographers didn't embroider that particular story. You don't take everything at face value that an emperor tells us. But the danger with being oh so sophisticated about all of this is that you wind up explaining away actual history in favor of some other kind of history that should have happened that didn't, because it is actually a historical fact that Constantine was a Christian. Whether he was converted by his mother or whether he converted her, we're not sure. Whether he was secretly a Christian and then became overtly one, or whether he had a sudden conversion. Okay, these details are obscure. But he did end persecution of Christians in the Roman Empire, and he did make it an official religion. This really did happen, and you know what? It happened for a reason. Something occurred that caused Constantine to associate himself publicly with Christianity. It's like the fact of the gospel having become to be believed at all. After the death of Jesus on the cross, the most normal thing to do would be for that cult to vanish and never be heard from again. Instead, after a period of despair and disillusionment, suddenly his disciples were reinvigorated. They went around telling people, yes, he rose from the grave. Go ask the multitudes who saw him. And again, we poo-poo this story absolutely. It's not that it didn't happen. It's not the sort of thing that could happen. But then how did Christianity triumph? Why did Constantine become publicly Christian and make toleration the official policy of the Roman Empire? Christianity conquered the empire, but not by force of arms from above. It convinced people from below, and it's an amazing process, one that we shouldn't treat as mundane, or indeed, in a materialist spirit of closed-mindedness, convince ourselves didn't happen because it couldn't have happened. Something did happen. Constantine was convinced something happened. People in the Eastern Mediterranean were convinced something happened. People for centuries were convinced something had happened. And if we brush all that aside, it isn't necessarily a mark of our superior enlightenment. Mind you, I should say in defense of the modern mind that we do believe in a wise, nearly omniscient supranational entity called the United Nations, which will save us from our sins. But that's a topic for another day. If you enjoyed these segments, please visit my website, that's johnrobson.ca. Have a look at our documentary work, the blog posts, the other commentaries. There is a donate button. And of course, keep watching The Rebel and subscribing. Thank you.